Alright, let's expand your key point 1 into a fully fleshed 900-word segment that flows in a motivational speech style, sounding intellectual yet accessible, like a powerful stage delivery that hooks men from the first line and keeps them thinking long after. You know, one of the biggest mistakes men make when it comes to women is assuming they've got the female body all figured out. They believe that because they've seen women, dated women, maybe even lived with women, they understand the mechanics, the rhythms, the signals. But here's the truth: what you see is only the surface. Beneath it lies an entire universe of biological mysteries, intricate systems working in ways that would surprise even the most confident man in the room. The female body is not just different from the male body in obvious ways, it's wired with layers of complexity that shape everything from physical strength to mental resilience. You might look at a woman and think you understand her capabilities, but what you don't see is how her biology is quietly rewriting the rules you thought you knew. And it's not just about reproduction or appearance, it's about the way her hormonal rhythms influence her mood, her decision making, her energy, her very perception of the world. Most men don't realize this, but women experience biological cycles that influence their body temperature, pain tolerance, energy levels, and even how they process emotions. These aren't random changes, they are part of an elegant, highly coordinated system. For example, there are certain phases in a woman's hormonal cycle where her body naturally produces higher levels of estrogen, which can sharpen her verbal skills, boost her creativity, and make her more socially confident. At other times, her progesterone levels might rise, creating a calmer, more introspective state of mind. What men often interpret as mood swings are in fact the body's way of balancing energy, preparing for physical demands, and fine-tuning emotional focus. And then there's her pain tolerance. Scientifically speaking, many women can endure higher levels of sustained pain than men, not because they are somehow immune to suffering, but because their bodies have adapted over generations to endure childbirth, menstrual discomfort, and countless physical challenges. When you see a woman carry on with her day while battling cramps, headaches, or fatigue, you're looking at a living example of resilience that most men will never truly grasp. But here's where it gets even more fascinating: this resilience isn't just physical. It's mental. There's a feedback loop between her biology and her psychology. The strength she develops from enduring physical challenges doesn't stay in the body. It seeps into her character, her decision making, her patience, her ability to push forward in the face of adversity. She is, in a very real sense, biologically trained for persistence. And yet, because so much of this is invisible, many men fail to see it. They think strength is something loud, the big muscles, the visible flex. But a woman's strength is often silent, steady, working in the background. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself, because it's not about dominance. It's about survival. It's about adaptability. It's about navigating a world that often misunderstands her while still finding ways to rise above it. Think about this in evolutionary terms. Women's bodies had to become masters of efficiency. Every calorie, every ounce of energy had to be managed in a way that ensured survival not just for themselves, but for their families, their communities. That's why, even today, women's bodies are more efficient at storing energy, more adaptable to environmental stress, more capable of multitasking under pressure. This isn't weakness, it's design, it's strategy. And here's where men get it wrong. They mistake difference for deficiency. Because a woman's body responds to the world differently, they assume it's somehow less capable. But the truth is, her body is running a different operating system altogether, one optimized for a broader set of challenges. You can't compare her on the same scale you measure yourself. You have to learn to read her on her own terms. If you've ever wondered why some women seem to notice things, you completely miss the subtle changes in someone's tone. The way a room's mood shifts, it's because their biology has honed their sensory awareness in ways men rarely experience. Women often have a more sensitive sense of smell, better peripheral vision, and a heightened ability to detect emotional cues. These aren't just random traits, they are survival tools, sharpened over thousands of years and still operating in the modern world. And when you start to see her through that lens, when you begin to respect the biological masterpiece she carries, something changes in you as a man. You stop trying to box her into your understanding of how the body should work. You start to appreciate that there are strengths you'll never fully experience yourself. And that doesn't make you weaker, it makes you wiser. Because wisdom is knowing that you don't have to be the same to be equal. What shocks most men is not just the science, but the humility that comes with learning it. You realize that for every obvious strength you think you bring to the table, she's bringing a silent one that balances it. That's the beauty of it, not competition, but complementarity. Her biology fills in where yours cannot, and yours does the same for her. That's not something to fear or challenge, that's something to honor. So, here's the challenge I'll leave you with. The next time you see a woman, whether she's a stranger on the street, a colleague in the office, or the person you love, remember that her body is not just a set of curves or features you admire. It's a complex, living system built to endure, to adapt, to protect, and to thrive. Don't reduce her to what you can see. Recognize the invisible, because the invisible is where her greatest strength lies. And if you can truly see that, if you can carry that awareness into your conversations, your relationships, your decisions, you won't just understand women better. You'll become a better man. Alright, here's the 900-word expansion for key point 2, crafted to flow right after the previous section so the audience feels it's part of one continuous, thought-provoking speech. If you really want to understand the depth of the female body, you have to stop looking at it like a separate physical machine and start seeing it as part of a living, breathing network, one where biology and psychology are constantly in conversation. The truth is, a woman's emotional intelligence isn't just a personality trait she picked up along the way. It's physically wired into her. Her body and mind don't operate in isolation. They are in constant dialogue, shaping the way she experiences the world, the way she reads people, the way she responds under pressure. Science has shown something remarkable, that the structural and chemical makeup of the female brain actually supports higher connectivity between its emotional and logical centers. In plain terms, this means that when a woman feels something, she can also process it, analyze it, and remember it in ways that are often more nuanced than a man might. This isn't about being more emotional or too emotional, as the stereotypes like to say. It's about having a nervous system finely tuned to pick up subtle information and integrate it into decisions. That's why women can often walk into a room and sense the tension before anyone speaks, or notice that your mood shifted before you even realized it yourself. This ability is not magic, it's biology. The hormones that flow through her body, especially estrogen and oxytocin, amplify her capacity for empathy and social bonding. Her heightened mirror neuron activity allows her to literally feel, what others are feeling on a neurological level. When you combine that with her biological adaptability, you get someone who can navigate human relationships with an almost surgical precision. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. This emotional intelligence, this ability to read people, to sense intention, to anticipate needs, isn't something she can just turn off. It's deeply integrated into her survival instincts. For thousands of years, women's roles in communities required them to detect danger quickly, manage relationships within the group, and protect the vulnerable. Their biology evolved to make them experts at reading micro-expressions, subtle changes in tone, and even shifts in breathing patterns. And here's the part men often miss. This isn't just about other people's emotions. Her emotional intelligence also gives her a profound awareness of her own internal state. She can sense when her body needs rest, when her stress levels are climbing, when she's close to burnout, sometimes long before the physical symptoms show. That self-awareness is a form of power most men underestimate. While many men push forward until their bodies force them to stop, women are often biologically better at pacing themselves, conserving energy, and protecting their long-term well-being. But there's a flip side to this gift. Because her emotional intelligence is so deeply wired, it can also make her more susceptible to emotional overload. Imagine having a radar that's always on, picking up not just the big, obvious signals, but every faint blip in the background. That's what it's like for many women. They are constantly absorbing, processing, and interpreting the emotions of those around them. When men dismiss this as overthinking, they're missing the fact that her mind is performing an advanced level of pattern recognition in real time. If you're a man listening to this, here's why you should care. When you recognize and value this emotional wiring, you change the way you relate to women. You stop seeing their sensitivity as fragility, and you start seeing it as a high functioning awareness system, one that can benefit you if you respect it. In relationships, this means listening when she says something feels off, even if you can't see it yet. In work, it means understanding that her insights into team dynamics aren't guesses, they're observations grounded in a finely tuned biology. And let's be honest, emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It's a survival skill. It's the ability to navigate conflict without burning bridges, to inspire loyalty, to de-escalate situations before they explode. Men who master it are often more successful in leadership, relationships, and personal fulfillment. But for women, this isn't just a skill, it's part of their operating system. You could say men have to train for it, women are born into it. The tragedy is that in many cultures, this gift has been undervalued for centuries. We've celebrated physical strength, strategic thinking, and technical skills, all important, but we've overlooked the quiet power of emotional awareness. And because it's quiet, because it doesn't demand attention, it's easy to miss. But make no mistake, emotional intelligence can change the course of lives, communities, and even nations. Think about how many conflicts could be avoided if leaders had the ability to truly understand the emotions driving the actions of others. Think about how many relationships could be saved if both partners had the capacity to recognize and validate each other's internal worlds. Women bring that to the table in a way that is biologically supported and psychologically refined. This doesn't mean every woman is automatically a master of emotional intelligence, just as not every man is physically strong. But it does mean that as a man, you would be foolish to ignore the evolutionary advantage she carries in this arena. The more you understand it, the more you can learn from it, and the more you can grow in your own ability to connect, influence, and inspire. And here's what I want you to take away. Emotional intelligence is not about being soft, it's about being smart. It's about understanding that humans are not just logical machines, we are emotional beings, and those emotions drive everything from our decisions to our relationships to our survival. The woman's body knows this. It has always known this. It's wired into her. And if you're wise, you'll not only respect that wiring, you'll start building it into yourself. Because the man who understands the emotional landscape as deeply as he understands the physical one, that man becomes unstoppable. All right, here's the 900-word expansion for key point 3, written so it flows directly from the previous 2 points and carries the same intellectual yet motivational tone. One of the most extraordinary things about the woman's body, and one of the most misunderstood by men, is its ability to communicate without a single word. We often think of communication as verbal, as sentences and conversations, but in reality, the human body is constantly broadcasting signals. And for women, those signals can be incredibly subtle, almost invisible unless you know how to see them. These are not random quirks. They are deeply rooted in evolutionary psychology. For thousands of years, before complex language evolved to what it is today, survival depended on the ability to read intention without speech. Women, in particular, developed an instinctive command over expressions, posture adjustments, and subtle shifts in tone, ways of signaling interest, attraction, or discomfort without ever making it explicit. The most fascinating part, much of this communication is unconscious. A woman doesn't always know she's sending these signals, her body simply responds to her environment in real time. The tilt of her head when she's engaged in a conversation, the softening of her voice when she's comfortable, the quick glance away when she's uncertain, these are biological responses, shaped by millennia of human interaction. When it comes to attraction, these silent signals can be powerful. A slight lean toward you when you speak, the way her pupils dilate, the timing of her laughter, they all happen without deliberate thought, yet they reveal a great deal about her emotional state. The problem is that most men either don't notice these signals or misinterpret them entirely. Some men look for exaggerated signs and miss the truth right in front of them. Others project what they want to see instead of reading what's actually there. And it's not just about attraction. The same unspoken language communicates discomfort, hesitation, or even warning. A woman crossing her arms, angling her body slightly away, taking a step back when you step forward, these are not coincidences. They're part of her instinctive defense system. These signals evolved as early warning mechanisms, ways of protecting herself in situations where words might not be safe or effective. Here's the truth men need to understand. If you can't read these signals, you risk either missing opportunities or crossing boundaries. Both can cost you, one in the form of connection, the other in the form of trust. A man who can pick up on a woman's silent communication is not just more attractive. He's more respectful, more attuned, more capable of creating genuine connection. But reading these signals isn't about playing detective. It's about cultivating presence. When you're present, truly paying attention without distraction, you start to notice the rhythm of someone's breathing, the micro-second hesitations before they respond, the subtle way their body shifts when the conversation takes a certain turn. You stop relying solely on words and start listening with your eyes, your intuition, and your awareness. And here's where this connects to what we've already discussed. Her biology equips her to sense emotional shifts in you, sometimes before you're aware of them. But the reverse is also possible if you develop your awareness. You can meet her in that same space of heightened perception. That's when relationships, whether romantic, professional, or personal, reach a whole new level of depth. Because once you can read her unspoken signals, you can respond in ways that make her feel truly understood. If you notice her pulling back slightly, you can give her space without making her ask for it. If you see her leaning in, you can open up more of yourself in return. It's a dance, and the men who can move with that rhythm stand out in a world where most are too distracted or self-focused to even hear the music. Now, let's be clear, this skill isn't about manipulation. It's not about decoding her body language to get something from her. It's about respect. It's about valuing her comfort, her safety, her trust. It's about showing that you're not just present when she's speaking words, but also when she's speaking with her body. When a woman feels that level of attunement from a man, everything changes. She relaxes. She opens up. She trusts. Because on a biological level, she knows you are tuned into her world, not just your own. And trust is the foundation of everything meaningful. This is the part most men never think about. The ability to read and respond to her silent communication isn't just attractive, it's a demonstration of emotional maturity. It shows you're capable of putting your own ego aside long enough to prioritize understanding another person's experience. That in itself is rare, and yet it's available to any man willing to train his awareness. It starts by slowing down, by paying attention, by asking yourself in every interaction, what is she telling me without words? It means noticing not just the signals you want to see, but the ones that are actually there. Sometimes those signals will tell you to lean in. Sometimes they'll tell you to back off. The wisdom is in respecting both equally. Because here's the bottom line, her body is speaking whether you're listening or not. It's telling stories about her comfort, her interest, her boundaries, her needs. You can choose to move through life deaf to that language, missing the connections and trusts you could have built. Or you can learn to listen not with suspicion, but with respect, not with an agenda, but with curiosity. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You stop seeing women as puzzles to be solved and start seeing them as human beings to be understood. That shift from decoding to understanding changes not just the way you see her, but the way she sees you. So let me leave you with this. If you want to stand out in a world where most people are half present, be the man who sees what others overlook. Be the man who hears what isn't said, who respects what is signaled, who responds with empathy and awareness. Because when you master the unspoken language of a woman's body, you don't just become more attractive, you become more human. Got it? But before I dive in, can you confirm what key point 4 is supposed to be? So far, in this series we've covered the biological mysteries men overlook. Emotional intelligence is physically wired, the silent signals of attraction and discomfort. Do you already have a fourth point in mind? Or should I create one that naturally follows? I can expand key point 5 in the same deep, flowing style, but I'll need to know what the actual point is first. So far, in this series we've only developed and expanded. The biological mysteries men overlook. Emotional intelligence is physically wired, the silent signals of attraction and discomfort. We haven't defined a key point 4 or key point 5 yet. Can you tell me what key point 5 is meant to be? Or should I create one that fits perfectly?